Go ahead, take us in, Grant.
I'm not recording yet.
We are.
Yeah.
Are we?
Is my right. Welcome to Onions, Twigs and Wigs.
Send, baby.
The podcast about music.
Sometimes.
Hendrix, the one and only Jimi Hendrix, and we are covering his album "Are You Experienced?" We tried to do this last week, and something happened.
We couldn't stop talking about Hendrix in a
Yeah.
social concert. Like we spent maybe an hour and a half talking about how
Yeah.
important he is to the world, and we never
But it
got
was
to the album.
But it was
'Cause Stephen
great
Miller
though.
waits- yeah, I think we talked about a lot of good shit, but
We did.
then
So
we tried to cut it and start again. But then like rendering, I guess, takes a long time, right, Steve?
right.
So
But we
yeah.
definitely had some good convo, man. Because
Yeah.
for all of our listeners and viewers out there, I don't know much about Hendrix. That's not my drink of choice. If you will.
Mhm.
But these guys worship him. You know what I'm saying? Like literally have tattoos of him on their bodies. So it was definitely like a history lesson. For me. Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, it was good stuff, man. Good stuff. But today we're actually going to dive into the album and not his whole biography. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
this is where we were going to start talking about when we came back, but it just took us a week
Exactly.
to come back.
Exactly.
There was
right.
technical difficulties along the way.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
which there are
It's all right,
always
but
is.
it's okay. I have the vinyl.
There you go.
This
Yeah, I was about to say before we
yeah.
get into it, show it off.
Yeah.
It's kind of dope.
Disclaimer: this is technically, actually, this is a really weird version because I guess this is from maybe 10 years ago. This print,
hmm
and we'll get into all
It's not the original. So the original
strange
cover? I don't
little
think that's the
facts
original
and all
cover.
that. Sorry,
I don't think that's the original cover. Could be wrong.
no. So this is the thing. See, you surprised me, Steve, with this album because
Well, that's the United-
you clearly listened to the American version, but yeah, this is the original.
That's the
cover
UK
from
one.
the original UK release.
Yeah.
That Hendrix himself did not actually like
So he
because
hated
he
that.
thought he looked like a fairy with his little cape, his wings.
Yeah. He just
So he made them, and I think a Holly's record had just come out
Mm.
that looked very colorful and psychedelic or something, looking or whatever.
Holly's from
I
Manchester.
don't think psychedelic. There you go.
And my mum
and,
knows.
And yeah, Hendrix for the US release, he wanted a different cover, which was kind of like it's a very yellow and it's got which makes kind of a lot of sense if you look at his other two albums. But
Right.
It's a psychedelic one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think
yeah, it's like a fisheye lens thing, and yeah,
it's
but-
cool.
So I'm not sure
the
how
font.
authentic this all is, but
Oh,
You
it's
know.
hard. Love it.
it's some nice pictures of like a young early 20s Hendrix. I like the inside of this one because
And it's a
it's
booklet
just got
too.
it's got this
Yeah.
hilarious series of pictures of Jimmy that seem to have been taken within say
Mhm.
I don't know, like a 1 minute period.
It's like his mother's been there at his show and taking pictures of him
The
from
one- hang
like
on.
a
This
shit
one-
like Kodak flashlight. Just
Which is the one that I like. Yeah, the one just off the spine
Mhm.
to
In
the
the
left
middle.
from-
or-
no, the one on the left, the face that he's
Mhm.
making.
yeah.
Oh,
is
wait.
my favorite one.
Bring it a little closer.
Yeah, where he's like,
yeah.
he looks just a little bit surprised about what note he played. He's like, oh,
Oh,
Is it?
man.
Oh, that's good.
Hilarious.
Oh no.
He's like, oh, that delay. Oh my god.
yeah, that face that people make on stage that you always get really happy when you capture it on a picture. It's,
Oh man.
he's making that
That's
exact face. He's
funny.
like, oh, that was tight. You know?
So read that note that's in there. I see like there's like some notes next to the pictures.
It's hard.
Oh, is it hard to read?
Yeah. A lot of
It's
Hendrix artwork tends to be his handwritten,
Yeah.
scribbled out
Yeah.
lyrics and stuff. Like
Very floral sort of writing.
your
isn't it?
needs to save, and he's saved from yourselves as crocodiles upon their backs. You know, we hand in hand shall tiptoe across their sleeping, slow reaching the wings of birds of parrot. You see what? It's just rambling nonsense. Until you put it to music, it's complete rambling nonsense, Johnny. It's
That's what's up.
yeah, but this is a weird album Well, I mean, it might not actually be that weird. I think it's only weird because Hendrix blew up so quickly on two continents. I think that's why I consider it a really weird album. Because say like the Beatles,
Mm-hmm.
the Beatles just took over all at once. Hendrix didn't do that. Hendrix took the UK over
Mm-hmm.
when he went there, and then they figured out how to make him famous in America.
Mm-hmm.
But it took a couple of goes.
Right, and that's what we talked about. You know, the last time we tried to do this, how you know, I think I brought up like how there's so many artists who are from other places, and yet they come to the States and they blow up, and then they go back home and blow up even more, and then it's vice versa. There's sometimes some artists here in the States that like America is just not feeling them right now, but they go somewhere else, and it's like, yo, like. Yes, like give us all of that. You know what I'm
Yeah, I
saying?
mean, we have that too in Australia. Like,
Yeah.
or we have exported musicians that just never make it
Mm-hmm.
really big over here. Like Keith Urban's a good example. You know,
Yeah.
he's just never really had a big. Like we know who he is, but we mainly know who he is because he's married to Nicole Kidman.
Mm-hmm.
We had actually
but
the band called Bush, which is Gavin Rosendale.
Glycerine,
They were
those guys.
yeah, Glycerine. Yeah, they were
Let the
huge
days
in
go
Canada.
by.
Yeah. They were massive in Canada. I went to Canada when I was 12 to my uncle's, and they loved them. But in England, they were like, you know, a couple of something like Swallowed and Glycerine, maybe a couple of singles.
I only know Glycerine.
Yeah, this is it. But they were huge in Canada, and then he got married to Gwyneth Paltrow. Not Gwyneth Paltrow. That's a complete lie. Gwen Stefani.
Hang on,
Gwen Stefani, sorry. And then did it. But yeah, they were massive outside of the country. So it does happen. It does happen. But
Oh yeah, and well, like nowadays it happens all the time. You know, like and anyway from let's say the 80s, 90s, 2000s, it's quite a common thing to for an artist to be famous in a country that's not their own, or to go over somewhere, become famous, and then go back. That sort of thing.
The Killers
difference
were
with, like,
huge
Hendrix,
in England.
yeah.
Sorry.
But with Hendrix, but you know, all these people nowadays, like it's very easy to blow up across the world simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with like in Hendrix's era in the 60s, that shit just takes time, you know.
Right.
Like they hadn't even landed on the moon yet, which really did a lot for global communications, like satellites and all that sort of stuff. The space race was really, you know, really big for us, like what we're doing now, like talking on 3 different continents.
Right.
When Hendrix released this album, like that shit was barely getting started.
It was just
So,
dreams, man.
Well, yeah, so you could become huge in a place like England or like in Europe, and then be a completely different artist in America, which is why this album is particularly weird. It's like, because what happened with Hendrix is he goes over to England and he starts recording music. He starts releasing singles like Purple Haze, Hey Joe, The Wind Cries Mary. They're like the 3 big singles.
Mm-hmm.
Hey Joe, Purple Haze do not chart in America. No one gives a shit about them.
Purple Haze just charted. I think it was
like what?
70,
60, that's
65,
66,
65 or
67, something like that.
Yeah, because that's a dope track too.
Man, and that was the day after he did Monterey Festival, where he set fire to his guitar and all that. And they released it the day after. They're like, cool, the day after we're going to catch it. But because, like Grant's saying, the word hadn't got out. So, you know, it was very
Well, he only got on the Monterey Festival because Paul McCartney said, no, you got to book this motherfucker. He's crazy. And, you know,
We gotta think-
good move.
I was going to say,
Yeah,
the Monterey, you know, like setting fire to the guitar that's what really sparked this album off, that showmanship that people hadn't seen
Right.
globally at that point. And that is only because he followed The Who, and Pete Townsend smashed up his guitar, and he's like, I have to somehow beat this. How do I follow that?
Man, fucking,
And so he said, if you
Dude,
got lighter fluid, and they set fire to the guitar, and they're like, don't break the guitar. We can't afford to get more guitars. Use the lighter fluid, and when it burns off, it won't damage the guitar. It'll just burn the lighter fluid. So he did that, and then smashed the guitar to
then he
pieces.
smashed it. Yeah. Hey,
So
here's
they're
a
like, they had to
fun
beg and
fact.
borrow a guitar for the rest of the tour. They were like,
I love it.
Here's a fun fact about that guitar, that exact guitar from that festival.
Wait, hand painted
He gave
as
it.
well.
He gave it to Frank Zappa
Right. I feel like I
But
think you probably
in-
told me that one
in
time.
pieces,
Mhm.
Right.
and then Frank got it restored.
Yeah.
And then now his son Dweezil has the guitar
Oh,
and
man.
uses
Wow.
it.
Wow.
And it's
Crazy.
it's I mean, you want to talk like
Oh.
talk about a fucking relic looking guitar that has all
Mhm.
the paint come off it and all that. This it's all been burnt off, so it's
Right.
like the grungiest looking guitar you've ever seen in your life.
I say Jimmy
very
like
cool.
sanded it down and painted it all himself in like psychedelic like flowers and all this. So it's his own
Yeah, then
original
just-
artwork on there as well. That's,
Yeah.
and then
That's
made
crazy.
the sacrifice. He said it was the ultimate sacrifice for himself
Mm.
to the audience.
Mhm.
you know.
But so he wasn't what do we say now, trending? He wasn't trending in the US. But he was very popular in the United Kingdom.
Right.
And that's where he was recording the album. So what happened was I guess this was a very common thing to do back then. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me now. But
Mhm.
back in, say, the 60s, a band would record singles, like A-side, B-side singles, like 7 inches, and
Mhm.
then 45s or whatever you want to call them. And then doesn't matter how big that single was, they would just leave it off the album. When they put out a full-length LP, the singles aren't on there. So in the
Mhm.
original pressing, which is this cover, the original pressing of this album, this is what I have, the track listing wise. If you look at it, it doesn't have Purple Haze.
It's insane.
What?
It doesn't have Hey Joe, and it doesn't have The Wind Cries Mary.
No, it's got Hey Joe.
No, you don't. No, listen to me.
Oh, wait.
Side
what you
1,
saying?
side
Huh?
2 is the album. Side 3 and side 4 is
Right.
the extra shit.
Oh,
So to speak.
Okay. Got
So,
you.
Hey Joe, Stone Free, Purple Haze, 51st
Mhm.
anniversary, Wind Cries Mary. Highway
Right.
Chart. They're the singles and the B-sides
Got
from the
you.
UK. But
Right.
when the album because those were already, people had already bought those. So they just
Mhm.
had a whole new full-length album, which is the album that I know. Now, me and Steve were talking about this, and Steve
Mhm.
doesn't know that. He knows the US release, which is funny because you're English.
No,
But-
see, I don't think it's a case of that. I think it's when I got the CDs, I just got like the special edition CD of the album, which then had everything on it, which has
All
like
17
19.
like this, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's what it is. It wasn't necessarily English or American. I've just got, when I first started out, I just went and got the album, just thinking that was the album, and it was a greatest hits. Like, I got the greatest hits album. I got the best edition of this, the best edition of that, remastered. So I don't think it's particularly American or English version. It's just all the songs recorded at the time or whatever.
Hmm.
But I don't have this one on vinyl, so I definitely can't,
Yeah,
can't
I
tell.
think the US one. Hang on, I did some research actually. If I can find my research. And when I say research, I mean I thought, I'm pretty sure I could just go to Wikipedia and get the track listing for each version.
Yeah, I'm
which I
just
did.
looking at it now, actually.
So
Yeah.
I just showed you the English one, but
Mhm.
and then this one I got here. If it'll show, man, it's so much easier to show the vinyl. Never mind. So the American version of this album, so that
Mhm.
has the 3 singles on it because
Right.
they figured, Hey Joe, Purple Haze, no one really heard it except for some really underground white people who
Mhm.
listen to some weird radio stations in certain parts of the country. So we'll throw them in instead of the bluesier tracks because Americans don't like blues.
hmm
How's that? Does that make any sense at all to you, Johnny?
It doesn't actually. It really
it makes
doesn't.
no sense, right? It doesn't make
It
any
really
sense.
doesn't. I don't know who who said that, like who came up with that and was like, yeah, this is what it is.
Well, to be honest, I think that they're trying to make money out of it, obviously. And to
Right.
make money out of records, you pretty much had to have it on white radio more than a
Mhm.
black radio. So the white radio stations were playing more rock and roll than actual bluesy
Yeah.
stuff, which, to be honest, to me, it's all the same side of the same coin to me. But yeah, so they wanted more singles, more
Yo,
poppy, you know. So I think that's
All
sort of the
blues
way.
matter.
I think that's why they thought that way.
real quick, can you enable the screen sharing?
I can.
Because I found the nice blown up picture of the yellow
Yeah, with the fish eye.
album cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like it's dope. It's just dope as hell.
Well, Hendrix picked that one. He didn't pick the one on the UK. But I like the UK one because it's got the band and it's very clear. Like,
Yeah,
He got screwed
But
so many
this
times
one-
with album covers during his career.
yeah.
That's-
That one looks
this
more
one
like
right
something
here is
Hendrix
hard.
would want.
The purple,
Right.
purple and the yellow is just such a Hendrix that I like. Especially
Yeah.
Purple Haze was the first song he wrote really for the guys.
Like who would think that those colors would mesh so well? You know, I mean, except for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Oh yes,
You know what I'm
Awesome.
saying? But other than that, man, but no, it's a dope album cover for real.
I like how he made them both have afros. for that
Right.
Cover.
Right.
Like,
Right.
he
'Cause
didn't
they're
do that
definitely
in
rocking
the
the fro.
original cover. He just went,
Yeah.
this is what they look like.
Right.
Because some people don't realize this, but the Experience had only been together for like 2 weeks
hmm
when they recorded
Jesus.
this.
This is crazy. That is crazy.
Well, the Wind Cries Merry on the album, they had like 20 minutes, 30 minutes left of a recording session. And Jimmy's like, well, I've got this song. And they ran through it and went, let's just do a quick demo. And that's a song.
Yeah.
They did it in like,
Wow.
Yeah.
from hearing it for the first time to being finished with recording was like 20 minutes. Went, okay, cool, done.
But see, I guess
good.
that's how
It's-
and it's
I
great. It's
think
great
that's like
recording.
what happens when you find a vibe, man. You know what I'm saying? Like if it sounds good, it feels
Don't
good.
use that word around me.
What, a vibe?
It's a terrible word.
Shut up. So that's what happens when you find a vibe
I like the word vibe. I like
and
it.
it works.
Yeah, you would like the word vibe.
I like the word vibe. It's a good word. It's a good word.
Hmm.
It's
It'll-
a terrible. It doesn't explain anything. It's a terrible word.
It's a word they use in a playground. You should know that.
When you find a feel, when you
See,
you
this is
just
why I don't
find
like the word
something that's
vibe.
good.
Because if I said to you, describe the word vibe, you'd say it's a feel. It's like the groove. It's like,
But that's
just
because
use a
you
bunch of-
have-
you just end up using a bunch of other words that aren't very good at explaining something.
but that's because you have none of those things, Grant.
Yeah, but
That's it.
I wouldn't want
It
this.
is.
I'd like to be able to describe how I play.
I like how you just but
I remember
no.
on
What?
on one little side note on that. It's like,
Mhm,
I remember
mhm.
one time when I was
Bandcamp.
doing my final university recital, like the master's recital. I remember having the two fucking guys that are there and they're like writing the notes and critiquing it.
Mhm.
Well, I put on this, like, I think it was 35-minute long performance or something. But I
Mhm.
remember one of them comes up to me and goes, you've got to, there's a lot of humanity in your playing. And I have, to this day, I've got no fucking idea what he meant. Because I'm like,
But-
some real critique would have been really nice. Like, I don't care whether or not you enjoyed it as the person critiquing me. I want to know
Yeah.
where can I improve? What can I do
Right.
better? Exactly what about what I was doing did you think suited the performance
Right.
or did not suit the performance? What do you think aided the music or took away from the
Right,
music?
right.
Just saying that it
You
sounds
got a lot of
human.
a lot of humanity.
Like, to me, that just sounds like it's laced with errors. But
Right.
that's just me. But I don't know what he meant, and that
Yeah.
bugs. This is why I don't like the word vibe.
Yeah, because like
Or
it could be
groove. I don't like
a
it 'cause it could just-
compliment or it can be straight disrespectful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I just don't like using them to describe things.
Yeah. Well, it's a
But,
vibe.
Anyway, that's
But
just
anyway.
me though.
Yeah. But
But
how do you guys want to get into this, man? You want to go like track by track? You want to share like your favorite tracks or?
Yeah, I don't think
You
we're
know?
not going to do it like Nas. We won't go track by track because we're doing all
Mhm.
3 Hendrix albums anyway.
Right.
So
Right.
I was gonna say when you were talking about vibe, and the fact that the band had only been together for a couple of weeks. Yeah, and
Mhm.
a lot of these things are like first or second takes.
Mm.
And I don't know if you guys noticed this. So let's talk about the album a little bit in general before we go to what we liked and the most or
Right.
disliked or whatever. So just in
Mhm.
general, a few things that like really jump out at me,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you compare this one to the other 2 albums, which we're going to inevitably do.
Yeah.
Is this one has almost exclusively fade outs of every song. because they hadn't worked out any endings.
Right.
So when you get a little bit of backstory, it all makes sense.
Yeah.
This one out of the 3 albums is by far the loudest and the most kind of
Most violent.
It's kind of grungy.
it's the most it's the grungiest, right?
Yeah.
It's got so much more of the I'm gonna sing something,
Right.
and I'll sing something else, like that's the style of almost everything that he does, that he has here, you know. But it's cool. This is why I like doing the whole thing of like the 3 Hendrix albums, is because they've each got their own vibe to them.
Mm-hmm.
So there, I don't mind using it. They've each got their own vibe. It's like, what do you mean? Well, you know, this one's very, I don't know, I would say punchy. This one's like a very punchy record.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But if you take out the like Hey Joe, because Hey Joe is where Red House would be. This is why it's interesting to listen to the actual versions of the record, or to just listen to all the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not sure which is better, because I think that the English LP is better than the US LP.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of that could just be because I'm kind of sick of Purple Haze and Hey Joe as a guitar player and a performer.
To be honest, I think a lot of albums that we've all grown up with, when I'm listening to certain albums, I tend to fast forward the main songs because we've all heard them a lot.
They've been singles, and you hear them everywhere. You hear them on movies, and because even me, like when I heard Purple Haze, this was my first time actually hearing it all the way through. So I made sure that I listened to it. Mm-hmm. But as soon as the track turned on, I was like, oh, I know this song, because like you hear it everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, it's classic.
But that's it. I mean, they might have had it right in the 60s. Where once the singles come out, you don't need to, because the single isn't promoting the artist who's coming out with an album, but it's not promoting directly the album. Like, say, once you get to the 70s, the single is on the album. Like, especially in the 80s, you got like Michael Jackson with Thriller, for instance. Mm-hmm. I think like every song on that album is a single that went to number 1, right? Like even when the album's out, he still releases them as singles.
Right.
That doesn't happen in the 60s. In the 60s, the singles come out, and then when the album comes out, everyone's got the album.
Right.
And to be honest, after that, you're talking about like Jackson with Thriller. So, like, I think the singles, once the albums come out, the singles become a vehicle in themselves, so that you can release B-sides. So you can release cuts that didn't make the album, but you think they're still good. So it becomes the opportunity to go, here's a song off the album, but if you turn it over, here's something special for you, and you get the separate artwork and stuff.
I didn't think of that. That's really good.
Yeah, I've always thought of it like that. Whether that's true or not, that's the way that I've always thought it's a good way to. You can't get all the songs on an album, especially vinyl. You can't get all the songs on it. So,
you know what? Yeah. I like that because it sounds a lot less money grabbing than still releasing singles.
Yeah. I think. Out. I mean, it's some of that.
It sounds much better than what I said. What I said makes everybody sound like an asshole.
There's definitely some of that as well.
Except Hendrix.
But I like the idea of albums not having the main lead single on, but I mean, it's not a feasible thing nowadays because everything's streamed, so it is what it is. But there's songs like Stone Free I think actually might be the first song he ever wrote with the band, because Hey Joe was the first single and that was a B-side.
It was the first original that he recorded. That's what I mean. These sessions, at least, because he recorded some covers. For whatever reason,
did some
are not on here at all.
Buddy Guy and stuff, I think. But they did
some old blues covers, and then he released
Killing Floor.
But he recorded Stone Free.
Killing Floor was one. Who's Killing Floor by? Oh, I guess an old blues song. He used to do a load of the blues stuff when he was doing it. I can't remember.
No, hang on.
Killing Floor is great. Killing Floor sounds like so many songs.
Man, blues artists and DJs, old school DJs and blues artists have very similar style names, like Lightning Hopkins, Rich Lightning.
Yeah.
My brain is getting muddled.
Oh, it's Howlin' Wolf. Of course it is.
Howlin' Wolf.
That's Howlin' Wolf.
I was like, who the hell
did blues guy? Old blues guy.
But if you guys listen, I'll see if I can get up Hendrix playing it. Listen to this. See, you think about that, like that's obviously not how the original sounded. When you hear that, you're like, Hendrix is doing those blues songs in that type of style for years,
Well, you know who that
and
sounds
then
like,
it became his sound. Like he just who sounds like that? You know, nobody at the time.
Stevie Ray Vaughan sounds exactly like that.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. But
All
that's
the-
way after.
That was
like,
Stevie,
yeah,
like Stevie Ray Vaughan's entire sound
yeah.
comes from like the way that Hendrix interpreted blues. Essentially,
Yeah.
like, he sounds like Hendrix on fucking steroids.
Oh god, yeah.
He even looks like him on steroids with the outfits. He's like the cowboy version of Hendrix.
Mhm.
Like, it's
Yeah,
hilarious.
it's like the white cowboy
Feathers
version of
in his
Hendrix. So
hat
I always said
and
that. Yeah,
Yeah, the hat.
shit. We got to do a Stevie Ray album at some point.
yeah.
I'm
Do you know
sure I've got
Stevie
a
Ray
couple.
is something that I never really listened to Stevie Ray that much,
You've got
and
to.
he's great. He's
Same.
awesome.
Good.
And the
So
reason why, and I blame my guitar teacher for a few things, and I don't blame him because he was a phenomenal guitar teacher. Only gave me 6 months of lessons, and he was like, "I can't take you any further. You're on the right, just find your own feet," type thing. And
Stephen
Wow.
is a prodigy, ladies and gentlemen.
no, when I look back, because I loved the blues stuff, and I was only learning guitar to put music to lyrics. That's the only thing I cared about. And then the lead guitar stuff came easily to me, and I went to Steve Vai and stuff, and then I just hit a brick wall and just sort of stopped, to be honest. But my guitar teacher told me that finger tapping, sweep picking was cheating, so don't bother learning it. You don't need to learn. Yeah, you don't need to learn
Yes!
scales. You
I
don't
love
need to
it.
learn scales. You need to do stuff by feel. And he put, if he had taught me a slightly different way, I'd have been a different musician. I mean, everything for a reason. But he also said,
Right.
Stevie Ray Vaughan's great, but you don't need to listen to him. Listen to Hendrix. Stevie Ray just copied Hendrix, and that just sat in my 16-year-old head. So I just
Okay,
didn't
yeah.
listen to Stevie Ray Vaughan. I thought he was a cheat who just ripped off Jimi Hendrix. And then it's when I
That's
got into
cool,
Steve
man.
Vai and listened to Steve Vai and Joe Satriani, I'm like, how the hell? What the fuck is? And I had to sit there and figure out how to finger tap and figure out these things because my teacher told me that's cheating. Cheating
Right.
guitarists do that stuff. And, I think like he tainted the way I looked at guitar players for such a long time.
That's terrible, man.
Yeah,
a little
that's
bit.
a
I can hear where he's coming from.
Yeah,
but
no, he's a
he-
great teacher.
he
I know what he
tainted
meant.
A little
Yeah.
bit. A little
But he
bit.
definitely.
But yo, this and we can save it. Well, of course, we're going to save it for next time. But this brings up another topic that I would like to talk about. I mean, I'm trying to think how can we title this, but I want to talk about how a teacher's opinions or point of view or whatever you have it can really affect your musical journey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I think we've all had that one teacher that's just like, oh yeah, focus on this, don't focus on that.
Yeah.
And then when you do that, as you get older and as you keep doing this music thing, with your, whatever instrument you're playing, you realize like, man, if I would have worked on that, I would have been a lot better, or I would have been, like you said, a different type of player.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to write that down because that brings up a whole
Yeah.
It's a
new
fun thing to
topic
talk-
right there.
Well, we can talk about all
Definitely.
our teachers that we've had.
You know what I'm saying? Because I would love to do that.
I can get one as a guest. I reckon.
Hey, I just saw one of my old teachers in the store the other day. I would love to talk about him, but we're gonna save that for another episode.
I just had a lesson.
Was he working in the store?
I just had a lesson that was truly humbling. Like, like in the best possible way. Like, I think I messaged you guys and just said, "Well, it's official. I suck at guitar."
I remember that message. I was
man,
like, how do I
I was-
respond to that? Like,
I think you just laughed. Yeah,
yeah, I was just like,
I spent after I talked to you guys. I stayed up all day
yeah,
practicing, getting material together that I wanted to talk to him about. Like, I was
Mhm.
preparing for the lesson all day. And and I only messaged him the day before, like, to organize the lesson because I felt like I was ready to talk about some kind of like smaller, like more intricate things. And then I think I got through maybe one of them. Like, we spent an hour on just the one thing. It cost me $100.
Mm.
I was like, oh my God, there are levels. I've always said to Steve all the time, like when I get drunk and judgy of other people and we're talking about someone, I'll be like,
As
"Yeah, but
opposed to
Steve,
sober and
there
judgy.
there are levels. There are levels to this game, and it's true because there are fucking levels to this game.
that's
and,
true.
There are so many more high levels
Mm-hmm.
than the one that I'm at. You know
That's
what I mean?
true. Yeah. Well,
It's
let's
but this is it's a necessary thing. But,
Right.
I think what the point I was going to get at from that stupid story is that what you're saying about where teachers have brought you. I think it's never too late to fix that or to keep
That's
learning
true.
new shit. Like it's never too late. The beautiful thing
That's
about
true.
an acquired talent is you can constantly keep acquiring the talent,
Yep.
which is
Yep.
exactly what you hear in Hendrix's 3 albums. Like they're all
Right.
really different because I think he gets a lot better as a musician.
Mm-hmm.
As
Which
he
is
goes on.
crazy, right? Like it's crazy to think that
Well, not
you know
really, he's
this.
in his 20s. Like,
No,
fucking of course he was getting better.
but you think about it like this. Like you think of like an artist, and you're just like, man, like they're amazing. And then all of a sudden, that next album, they just get better and better and better. And it's like you already hold them up here, you know? So then like the fact that they're just getting better and they're growing as you're like listening, I think that's just like it's just fascinating to me, you know? I don't know, maybe I sound stupid, but
no. I understand exactly what you mean.
yeah.
I think there's an inherent. I've always thought there's an inherent danger in deifying people, but I don't
Because
think that it's dangerous.
you hold them to like a higher standard. That's what you mean, like.
I think because if you meet them or work with them,
Yeah, we had this conversation before.
You tend to set yourself up for disappointment. Especially if you're in the same line of work, like you always kind of there's always the risk that you run of because you end up standing on the shoulders of giants, so to speak. You could very well end up leaving these people that you deify in the dust.
Right.
So I think it's perfectly healthy to deify certain albums, for instance. Like I mean, I don't think I could come up with any way to improve on any of these 3 Hendrix albums, for instance. But at the same time, I can hear him getting better as a musician throughout the 3 albums.
That's
even
dope,
though it's only
man.
a couple of years. I can hear him getting a couple of years better at guitar and getting better at, using his studio time. But that doesn't take away from how much I really like this album because of its punchiness and grunginess. Like I like the rawness of this album. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely different, man.
Am I making sense, by the way? When
No.
Like, Steve, am I making sense there?
I think so, yeah.
Right?
It's I mean, I think
they're all different.
With this album, they were trying to come out strong. It wasn't not even trying to come out strong. Just they weren't trying anything. They were just doing what they were doing. I mean, it had never been done before. A lot of the stuff, I suppose. I think this is where the power trio, the 3-piece power trio, which I love, which I always just had a bass player and a drummer whenever I played gigs up until not that long ago, really, for bands. Just because having the one guitarist, we all have egos as guitar players, especially when I was younger and I was obsessed with practicing, and I practiced a lot of electric guitar and was way better than I am now because I've just been playing Wonderwall for 10 goddamn years. But there
you go. There you go, son.
but there was a time when I used to play Eddie Van Halen and stuff like that. But
all right.
But yeah, the freedom on stage to be in charge of the melody and all the stuff you add as a guitar player without keys, without this, without that. And I think in the studio, you're giving the bass player Noel Redding was a guitar player, really. He wasn't a bass player. I mean, he's only in the band because Jimmy liked his hair pretty much, but yeah. But like that freedom in the studio, and Mitch Mitchell being a very aggressive jazz bass drummer who is like a lead guitar player who won't shut the fuck up. He's constantly like, and that battle, that thing just creates such an aggressive sound that works so well. And then that gets
it makes the
tapered.
album in a lot of ways.
Oh, definitely. If it was just 4 to the floor drums, a lot of these songs are like, they'd be okay. Right. They'd be good. Obviously, they'd still be great songs for what they were, but that aggressive movement and the tempos fluctuating through the songs, and they got tighter in the second album, and the third album was more studio minded. They got the 16 or 32 track at that point, but I think this was all 4-track. This album, I think, could be wrong. 8-track or 4-track.
No, yeah.
So bouncing stuff down like.
Dubbed much. They dubbed Purple Haze a little bit, but I don't think they dubbed much more than that. It's very. I
mean, they
might
did
have done
the backwards guitar at some
point. That's a good point about the drama. Like,
he nearly got fired as well.
So last week was the 50th of Hendrix's death. So me and Steve threw out this Hendrix cover, and I like made sure that I got it so I could drop it on the right day,
Mm-hmm.
just because So, but yeah, I had the backing track after I'd sent you, Steve. After I'd sent you the guitar track, where I kind of tried to make it go up and down, just so that you guys would intuitively
Mm-hmm.
do something, because I was worried about having to redo tracks in this sort of different continents, like the necessity for multi-tracking. I thought, man, it'd be cool if they really jammed out to the thing that I sent them, and then when I take that away, then I get to actually jam out to them jamming out to my last thing, because it might give it an illusion of us playing together. Which, by the way, I think it kind of did.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's like an inherent compromise to it because we're not recording things at the same time.
Right.
But it sounds a little bit more natural because everything is done in one take, even though the takes were done at different times.
Yeah.
But we were all like jamming to certain things in the final product. So, because I was talking to Steve like in real time after I threw down like one track of it, of like singing and playing, and I was saying, I enjoy the guitar sound that I've got right now, and I think I like the way I like the way it all kind of sounds together. I just got to do a better vocal track. But then I was like, I kind of like the vocal track. Is the vocal track? So I just went fuck it and just throw it all out of the first take, because I don't know. There's an authenticity to that sort of shit that I really like.
I think that's missing a lot now from music. There, nobody goes into a studio and, well, I'm saying nobody. That's wrong. Some bands do, but not many record live. Even if the drummer's in his own room and whatever, you need to be able to see each other for certain songs. Certain songs don't lend themselves to that. Like even Hendrix and his last songs, like Gypsy Eyes and whatever, they're like fucking overdub. That has to be perfect. Retake, But there's something like on this album, it breathes when you hear them playing Manic Depression, or even Red House or whatever. Anything, I suppose. I Don't Live Today, like that. You can feel. I mean, you can hear them breathing. You can hear him turning over sheets of music on certain things, and like it's actually happening. You're listening to a band performing a new song that no one else has ever heard. There's a little
uncertainty to it, right?
Yeah, and they feel a bit like that. And because Mitchell is such a like crazy drummer, he's like going, "No, I'm gonna go," and no ready. You can feel that if one person's slightly like, "I'm not entirely," the other person's like, "No, it's cool. We're fine," and it really pulls it forward. A lot of the songs.
Yeah.
The whole kind of attitude of the album seems to be kind of like that drunk guy that bursts through the door at a party when the party's halfway over.
Yeah,
and he runs, or you run up, or the guy that runs up to the bar conversation when it's already like what everybody's talking about something, and this drunk guy just runs and goes, "You know what? Fuck that." It's very much got that attitude to it.
Yeah.
But especially on the English one where Foxy Lady is the first track, because it fades in with the note. Like,
to start with feedback. Especially when feedback wasn't really used.
You hear the asshole coming like, "Let me tell you something about that stupid cunt. He doesn't know what he's doing." But then you've got on the American one, it opens with Purple Haze. Right? So
it's literally like,
bang, let me tell you. It's just so loud with that heavy fuzz and all that Hendrix.
It's like either way, man. Either way, it's in your face.
I love the fact that
in your face.
I love the fact that,
but it's also so loose that it kind of sounds like he doesn't know what he's talking about.
That's it. And
so he comes in loud and confident. But there are moments where you get, wait a minute. It's like, hang on, what was I talking about? That sort of thing.
Right.
I love that.
What were you about to say, Steve?
I was going to say, I love the fact that you've got same on both albums. If anyone's listening to this and you don't know what we're talking about both albums, I don't either. I'm just looking at the track list. Because if you know the CD version, like I know the CD version of, you go on Apple Music or whatever, it's just all the songs. But they were released very differently. So, but the second song on either album was Manic Depression, which is one of my favorite Hendrix songs.
Right,
Just because it's just almost an annoying sort of like like the 3/4. It's just like,
It's
oh
full
my
on,
god,
yeah.
to start a song like like Jesus Christ. Can you imagine the first time hearing that? Like, can you imagine sitting there going, what the fuck? Second song on the album, you're like, what the hell am I listening to?
And it comes on even stronger because again, like every song's got a fade out.
Yeah,
So
and
you've
I've got a
been
theory about that
gently
as well.
faded out of Foxy Lady, and then it just comes in.
Yeah. I got through it. The fade out, when I first started recording stuff on my own 4-track when I was 16, 17, I was so excited that I could fade out my own music, my own voice.
Oh yeah,
because it sounds professional
you learn to do it
in my
the
head.
studio too. You
I was
just
like,
you learn to ride the mixer. and
Yeah,
fade
I'm like,
out.
I can fade out my. So I think there's something to be said about a debut album at that time with the equipment they had. That fade outs were looked at as cool. It's looked at as what you
Right.
did in a studio because it was still new. It's like we don't want an ending. We want to fade out
Right.
like forever. Like I can't. There's one song on one of the
Like,
albums where
we're
they
gonna
fade
fade
out
out
and then they
everything.
slip back
Yeah,
in.
see,
Just
I
because
always
we
thought-
can.
I always thought to myself, this is just how my brain always worked, I guess. But I always thought you can't do that live. But it's funny because it turns out
Fade
like
out.
me and Steve playing live together, we do that all the time.
What, fade outs?
We
Yeah.
do live fade outs. Yeah, it's great. It's it actually it tends to get a pretty cool response from the audience to do a live fade out because you just
It's quite fun because
kinda-
people
you
get
keep-
quieter
you
and
keep
quieter. They
singing,
start listening
keep
more and more. Like,
jamming,
what are they doing?
play
What are they doing?
guitar
They're
chord, and you
listening.
creep away from the mic like this, and it fades out a little bit.
But Johnny,
But-
getting into this album because, like you said, like you're not the biggest Hendrix fan. Or you hadn't listened to that much. How did this album hit you?
This one, well, I mean, I think I kind of told you guys over text. I was like, this one was pretty dope. Definitely some memorable tracks on there. I'm not going to get into the next album, which is Electric Ladyland.
No, next
But I
one's
will
Axis.
say-
Axis Boulder's Love next.
Old. Axis is next. Yeah.
Oh,
But now,
wait.
but now that we've delayed this recording of us actually talking about the album, now you've actually listened to all three, so this question is better.
Right. So, well, because wait, so hold on. Because we haven't talked about Electric Ladyland yet.
No, we haven't talked about
That's
anything
the
yet. This
third
first
album.
one.
Oh, that's the third
That's
one.
the final one, yeah.
Yeah. That's his
Oh,
last one.
so check this out. So I listened to Are You Experienced first, Electric Ladyland second,
right.
and then I listened to Axis third. So
Well, Axis will be the
that's-
next one we're talking about.
Right. So that's interesting because I thought they all were in order. You know, it's like, I thought I was listening to them in order. So yeah, that's crazy, man. That's wow. But anyway, Electric Ladyland is probably like my favorite. You know, if I had to
Steve's
pick
too.
between, Are You Experienced and Ladyland is the one. But I don't say that to say that, you know, Are You Experienced is garbage. Like it's super dope. And like listening to the United States version, starting off with Purple Haze. I'm in my car driving around. All you hear is I'm like, oh snap. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
And then and like I told you guys, like I've heard that song so many times, like just watching a movie or something like that, and there's like a certain scene, and then boom. And there's always a scene where like somebody's getting high.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm
Always.
saying?
Always,
It's
always.
always
Yeah.
yeah, you know, like there's always a scene like somebody just got high and now they're like in Vegas and they're standing on the ledge of their balcony and they're about to jump. You know what I'm saying? They're about to like just go ahead, just call it quits. And all you hear is and like you just hear Jimmy just rock it out, bro. So
Man. Yeah.
so yeah, man, it's like it's crazy how, you know, you just start to discover certain things as musicians. You're like, oh yeah, man, I've heard this song before so many times, and now this is my first time actually listening to it and taking time out to like listen to it all the way through. Dope song, by the way, too, man. Purple Haze is probably one of my favorites.
Yeah. We complain about it, but it's great.
I mean, yeah, and I'm sure you guys do as guitar players because everybody wants to hear it, and it's one of those. It's one of those, like famous guitar lines that I'm sure. I mean, it's probably almost like my Careless Whisper.
No,
or
It's
no,
so-
I still love Purple
mean,
Haze. I still love Purple
there's
Haze.
plenty of guitar versions of Careless Whisper, but,
or
yeah, it's
I'll
up
give you
there. It's
this.
up there.
It might be like my Baker Street.
Oh, maybe.
You know what I'm saying?
It's one of those things for sure.
Yeah.
Like, maybe not that extreme, but it's definitely like Voodoo Child is the big Hendrix.
That's the one. Yeah.
But that's such a
That'll
charm.
Foxy-
That can be anything
that
it wants to
Purple
be.
Haze and Foxy Lady. They're the three big like
I think what it is
three
that differentiates.
things.
I think what differentiates this type of stuff from what you're saying, like the Careless Whisper or Baker Street for me, is that Hendrix songs are meant to be jammed, if you know what I mean. Like you play Purple Haze, you
Like Grateful
jam,
Dead
you
vibe.
feel, you follow the band, you do it. Whereas like a Baker
Yeah.
Street is pretty much Baker Street. I mean, obviously you
Yeah.
can jam it, you can do
Well-
whatever you want, but they're more like set to a specific formula.
Right. But let me say this too, because I know the listeners and the viewers are probably like, what the heck are they talking about? When I say, like Purple Haze is like the Baker Street or the Careless Whisper, like for all of our listeners out there, what I mean by that, I've played with these guys at bars and pubs and all types of stuff. And if you guys haven't been to a pub or a bar with live music, you always got, we're always open to suggestions for songs and stuff like that. And not a night goes by that somebody asks for a Careless Whisper, and they only ask for it when they see a saxophone player. They only ask
Nobody
for
ever
it.
asked me for it on my own.
And Baker Street. And Baker Street is just like for like the ones who, they're like, oh, this is like the only rock, quote unquote, like rock song that actually has sax in it that I know that's like very popular. So I'm just going to ask the
so many.
saxophone guy. I know. But these guys, they the only one they can think of is Baker Street. You know what I'm saying? With that infamous, like
There's
that's
a Dire
a,
Straits one that uses Michael Brecker, which is
Word?
amazing.
I gotta check that one out.
Yeah, on the
I gotta check that one out.
Brothers in Arms album. I'm trying.
Yeah.
The name of it's escaping me, but
Yeah, but I say all of that to say, we always have, and we always complain about it, but we always end up doing it. We always have those like it's like a handful of songs that people just always ask for. So I'm sure that's the reason why I compared Purple Haze to my Baker Street, because if I'm at a pub and I'll say it a little blatantly. If I'm at a pub where there's a lot of white folks, more than likely they're gonna ask for some Baker Street. You know what I'm saying?
And what else do they ask for? They always ask for
Careless Whisper,
no.
Baker Street.
It's one more. It's a band, not a song, but they always ask for the Dave Matthews.
Is it Dave Matthews? Yep, and they always ask, and that's the thing, and we
I
should
deliver
do,
on that shit.
and we should do a Dave Matthews, because that's another artist that I don't listen
I've
to.
got-
I
Dave
don't
Matthews.
have any
Enough for you
idea.
guys for
I've
Dave
heard like
Matthews.
two
Yeah,
Dave
man.
Matthews songs in my life. I don't know.
I don't listen to Dave, and apparently I'm like, we heard, can you play Dave's Matthews? We've heard that so many times. I'm like, well, dang, maybe I do need to brush up on some Dave. Maybe I got to listen to some Dave.
well, as a
you know,
saxophone player, you really should.
I know,
because
bro. I know.
Even like the newer ones, because their saxophone player died, right?
Mm.
But they replaced him with the saxophone player from Bella Fleck and the Flecktones.
It's like
Who
the
is-
drummer in Spinal Tap.
Yeah, who was objectively just a far more accomplished saxophone player.
Wow.
So the sax playing
Jesus.
has only ever gotten more and more crazy.
That's what's up.
But they're like they're like the Grateful Dead. They're like a jam band. Which and the
Right,
Grateful
right.
Dead are much like the Hendrix Trio. Like they're I like that stuff too. Like I like a band that leaves a lot of room open for the live interpretation.
Mhm.
It's really it's nice to have
Mhm.
and it's nice to have them not shy away from it on an album. Which is why this one is particularly interesting for Hendrix, because the what is it, the producer of the record, he purposely didn't let Hendrix hang out with or talk to the other two guys, because he didn't want them to get any ideas or put any ideas in Hendrix's head while he was writing the tunes for the album. He just wanted he wanted the album to be 100% Jimmy. So everything that you got on here, except for I guess Hey Joe, because it's a cover, right? But yeah, all the songs are just Hendrix going, all right, here it is, guys. It's about this fast. First chorus out. We'll play, and then chorus. This like that, and that's what the album sounds like. It's very loose overall. Like I can't think of one tune that's like I said at the start. Like everything fades out. Like there's nothing. Yeah, nothing is really well arranged. Like Fire. I've always thought this thing about Fire. Steve, let me know what you think about this. Because the Fire riff. Dun, dun, da, 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 dun, dun, da, 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 da. What does that start on?
It starts in a G flat, I think.
No, not the note. The beat of the bar. What 1,
beat
does it start
3. Bam, bam. It's on 1. But
the start, it sounds like that, right? But then
something happens on the live record, and when they play it live, they change it as well. Because I've always gone 1, 2, 3. Oh, on 4, sorry. 1, 2, 3. Bam, bam.
4, right?
4, sorry. It's on 4
at
now.
the start, see, I've always heard it like this. I've always heard it.
Yeah.
At the very start of the tune, to me, it sounds like 1. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, dun, dun, 3, 4, da, 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 3, 4. Forgive the clapping on beats. But forgive me clapping like a white guy.
I know. Well, it's a marvelous night for a moon dance with the stars.
But now, if the clap was 2 and 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, ba ba, da 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 da, da da, da 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 da. He does both in the track, and
Jesus Christ,
he didn't do that live.
The research for the album, my new theory about it is that they fucked up.
Yeah, no, I completely, 100%. So I hadn't heard the recorded version in so long, and I used to start every set with that. My second set with my old band used to be 1, 2, dun, 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 get it, and I was like, oh, this sounds weird. Why does this sound weird? And that's they messed up, didn't they? Basically. In fact, do we have to?
Because at the start they're only hitting the hits. It's like bam, 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 bam. Like they're just doing the hits. But then within the song, there's a beat going. You're like, oh shit, he's not playing it off the 1. He's playing it off the 4.
1, 2, 3.
I don't know. See, but I don't know what he was thinking. So I knew that song first from a Steve Vai Live album.
Oh really?
Yeah, Steve Vai Live at the Astoria. It's a DVD. My guitar teacher gave it to me, and yeah, I remember watching that and just going, holy shit, I need to practice. But
I like that. I actually watched Woodstock the other day. It happened to be on TV on his anniversary, and I was like, oh, and watching him play this Woodstock, and he's got his new band there pretty much. And when he gets to, because you got Let Me Stand and Steve, and you got the Let Jimmy Take Over, and it key changes up a tone. And you see him, he's playing, Let Jimmy Take Over. You know what I'm talking about? No. And he turns around to the band and just goes, E! Just
so loose. I loved it. Over 4 years, he doesn't get any tighter. He stays just as loose because they keep giving him all these fresh bands that have never practiced with him.
Oh, well, that one he decided to put together his own super group, and it didn't quite work. Well, we could talk about this all day, but let's try and I recommend try and choose top 3. I know it depends which album we're talking about, etc., but we know the different versions of, so we can do that.
Yeah. We're just talking about this album. It's fine.
So I'm intrigued to start with Johnny in the top 3 here.
Yeah. Let's get it. Gotta say Purple Haze, man.
The OG.
That's the one. And like when I do these things, I try not to do the one that's like obvious, like, or like the one that's like the single. But yeah, that's definitely the one for me.
It says
I was really digging Third Stone from the Sun.
It's great.
Oh man, that's
that because like that track like by itself was just like so different than all of the tracks on it, and like, and correct me if I'm wrong, like it was kind of like swinging too a little bit, right?
Do you know where you know that song from?
No, I don't.
I'm too sexy for my shirt.
Yo,
too
you
sexy
serious?
for my shirt.
Yeah,
so
he ruined it for me
sexy,
telling me that.
Hurts.
What?
They sampled Third Stone from the Sun. Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah, man, because like it was because like it got like super musical. It wasn't just like it wasn't super grungy, but like it just got very musical, but still rock at the same time. and yeah, like it just started swinging, and I was like, oh snap, like it was pretty dope. And I gotta say, my third one was Stone Free,
Yeah.
and I actually wrote Cowbell was rocking. Cowbell, man, that cowbell was in that thing, man. I'm telling you, I was like, oh snap! All right, yeah, man.
I'm actually
Like,
going to do a version of that with Steve in the house. We were going to do it last week because we used to play that at a gig as well, and then he hurt his ankle, so we didn't do it. But
oh man, it sucks, man.
starts with a harmonics.
Yep, it was like boom, boom, boom. I was like, oh snap!
That's a
But
good
yeah,
choice.
man, like,
And
like
that wasn't
those
on the
are,
album, that wasn't on the album. That's what I'm saying. Like you've listened to the CD version the same way I would,
right?
and I always thought it was on the album until a bit older, and I realized it was a B-side, which is
right.
It's one of my favorites. What about you, Grant? 'Cause I don't know what the hell I'm going to choose.
The guitar player in me has a lot of love for a very specific type of Hendrix. So I'm a big fan of the more like fluttery rhythm stuff. You're gonna find, by the way, you're gonna find that like the Axis album is by far my favorite.
Because I was about to say that too. And without getting into the Axis album, I heard the same thing that you were saying. I actually wrote some notes down about it today. Because there's like a lot of beautiful, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of beautiful guitar parts in there, man. And I'm just like, wow, like this is super dope, So,
it's the
I can't wait to get to that one.
I like the loose, creative rhythm style. Like to me, that's what Jimi Hendrix sounds
Oh,
like.
completely.
So I like "May This Be Love," "Remember," and "Third Stone from the Sun." Like I've never gravitated to Hendrix that much as a lead guitar player. That's just because I always thought of him. I always thought he was at his best when he was playing while he was singing.
Yeah.
And those are like the examples of what was to come from him. So that bias in me picks that, and then but then I don't know if I tried to turn that off, I really like Manic Depression. Just Fire, just because as viscerally, like Fire has just been a part of my life for a lot longer.
Yeah.
Like I've just known that song for so long and always loved it. So yeah, I don't know. Give me a top 5. Fuck you.
Yeah, it's tough. Like you were saying about Hendrix lead, like I obviously love Hendrix, but when someone used to say school and stuff and coming up, even now, like people say, are you a lead guitarist or a rhythm guitarist? That is something that infuriates me. Like it's always annoyed me, even when I couldn't play any lead, even when I had no idea. Even now when I'm doing acoustic stuff, like it's like, I know I'm a guitar player. Yeah, but are you rhythm or lead? I'm like, what is wrong with you? You should be able to do both. Or you don't have to specialize in one. And maybe you're not a great player, but you should know enough. And Hendrix is always the example I use it that even when he's playing chords, just a G and A, a D and E, whatever he's playing, he's adding these beautiful elements to it, which could be classed as lead guitar, but they're not really. But are they rhythm guitar, strictly speaking? I don't know. And that's why I've always like, you should be a guitarist, not one or the other.
Right.
Like you don't just stand there strumming the chords.
Yeah.
And then you have the lead guitarist doesn't do anything apart from the solo. You look like a saxophone player.
I agree.
It's that type. It's that type of mentality. It's not just a lead instrument. It's just not.
Right.
That is not the reason it's there. So I tend to stay away from stuff that's just lead things. Apart from Voodoo Child stuff, that's more jamming stuff. But for me on the album, it's difficult. Stone Free or 51st Anniversary, just because 51st Anniversary is the first song I ever taught myself by ear.
Of all the Hendrix songs,
I know, how weird is that? It was just on that CD, and I just loved the sound of it, and I tried to figure it out.
Like, I'm gonna try to learn it.
Yeah, and my guitar teacher came out the week later. He was like, "Who taught you that?" I was like, "I did. Is it wrong?" He's like, "No, it's right. But who taught you?" And I'll just listen to it. It's like, you've been playing guitar a month. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
okay. So
Yeah.
those
Freaking
are,
prodigy over here, man.
but I think,
Right? Yeah, Steve's a prodigy, ladies and gentlemen.
but I think,
He's never practiced a day in his life, but he's better than most of us.
I definitely haven't practiced a day in the last 5-6 years.
dying.
I don't know about you guys, what version and what you thought, but Highway Child to me
I
is
was
a
feeling that one.
phenomenal song.
How does it feel?
Yeah, don't ruin that
to
one for me.
love me like you do. How does it feel?
But that, there's something he sings before the chorus. He does like an oh vocally, and like his voice cracks, and it sounds almost like a yodel. And when I heard that originally, I was like, that is such a cool sound. So I think Highway Child for me over them.
That's
Stone
a
Free,
great track.
Highway Child and Stone Free probably. But as ballads go, one of the best ballads I think ever written in rock music is "The Wind Cries Mary." I think it's a gorgeous song, beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful song with a gorgeous guitar solo and the flowery stuff he adds over the verses. So, "Wind Cries Mary," Stone Free, Highway Child. I'll stick with them.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
Stone from the Sun. It's great. There is one very important question before we wrap this up. Johnny,
Sorry, before
how
you do,
Johnny?
I was going to say, like, "The Wind Cries Mary."
Yeah.
Is that's the third single before the album
Mhm.
came out. That's
It's-
the song that
Oh.
is what he's going to sound like in a year.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like that's the track where
Interesting, yeah.
like when you listen to the next two albums, you're like, oh yeah, that I reckon that was Hendrix's favorite tune.
Oh yeah,
on this
definitely,
album.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like that because he doesn't deviate very far from that style of at least guitar playing, and also, and the wind cries, like those vocal tags at the end of things with
It's
big
very,
pauses and
It's very, very Dylan. and-
almost everything in
yeah.
that song he never strayed away from for the rest of his life.
yeah.
Yeah,
His own
he's
original
such a
music, so
huge
it's
Bob
like,
Dylan fan, and
I
that to
reckon
me
was
is
his favorite track.
yeah. I think the
So-
big Bob Dylan influence in Hendrix comes out in that song lyrically and the way he sings it because
Mhm.
he's a huge Bob Dylan fan.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but Johnny, this is the most important question of the show before we finish.
Mm-hmm.
How do you spell Foxy, as in Foxy Lady?
Oh, hang on. There we go. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I'm intrigued. How do you spell it, Johnny?
Well, I would spell it like Foxy.
Okay,
Oh, like an Englishman.
because that's how the
Yo.
English spell it. American correct spelling American is Foxey.
Really?
Apparently
Well,
so.
here, you
Yeah,
know
that's
what's
why I was
funny?
like to ask you.
If you look at if you went to the Wikipedia page and you looked at the two track lists,
Yeah.
Third Stone from the Sun and Foxy Lady both have in brackets when you go to the US releases.
Mhm.
But once people started releasing CDs with the whole track listing,
Mm-hmm.
they'll say Foxy Lady in brackets US,
US
spelling.
spelling, yeah. That's what I was saying.
Wow.
And Third Stone from the Sun US spelling, which I don't understand. I'm assuming
'Cause they
it
say
only
rock
means
or
that
sun,
the
don't they?
that the T is not capital in the.
Well,
Because they
Well,
they don't
I don't
use
know.
third as in the 3RD, like we would use 3RD, whereas in the American one they actually spell THIRD. They actually spell the word third,
but
but I don't
But
know
here's
why.
the
They use the number. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know
But
why.
here's the thing for me, because it's funny you said that, because like the way I spelt it just now, like
Mhm.
without the E,
Yeah.
there's like buildings and like built like establishments that might have like the name Foxy in it, and it's spelled like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that's
So-
because of this.
oh, you
Because
think
Foxy
so?
Lady because Foxy Lady wasn't on the US album.
Ah, that makes sense.
So once Hendrix became a huge deal,
Mhm.
and a lot of people in
They
America
dropped
would
the
have
E.
seen like Foxy Lady, and that's when they're
Right.
probably seeing Foxy
Mhm.
written down
Ah.
at least for the first time. So they're
Yeah.
probably seeing the UK spelling.
Yeah,
But
because I mean,
then-
I guess like you know, like in that time period, you know, to say somebody was a foxy mama.
I was gonna say, it wasn't a
lady,
thing,
you just
really,
so
was it?
Foxy, baby, you so foxy. Like that was like a slang term, I guess. And
But it probably wasn't
Yeah.
in the dictionary, like the Oxford Dictionary type thing. So they probably didn't have an exact spelling. Yeah,
that probably didn't come into like the 70s or something. You know,
I couldn't believe that people spelt it with an E at all.
I know.
Yeah,
I-
exactly,
just-
man. It doesn't even look right.
It looks
It's
weird.
like I don't know. It's right. That's right up there with the craziness of how Americans say aluminium.
But you
Yeah.
know what? You know what I'm about to start doing? I'm about to start saying fox. I'm about to say, man, that's a stone cold fox.
Man, I
Man,
like
you
that. Let's
seen
get back to
girl
that.
over there the other day? Boy, she was so foxy.
You know what you need
Foxy lady
amongst,
right
amongst
there.
friends. Amongst friends, you need ways to make to let each other know that
I know where you're
all
going with this,
see
careful.
the attractive girl across the room. I remember on my first contract, me and this Dutch trumpet player. we had this thing where we started calling girls cutie pies, but I didn't like. One day he said to me, in a very small bus, this girl walked on, and I think she was one of the 270 singers or something, and he looks next to me, he goes, dude. And he's like fucking 7 feet tall, so he's this giant. Like little on me to sit next to him. He goes, dude, cutie pie. And I'm like, dude, we need to come up with something better than this. So I said, so we figured out that I said, how do you say that in Dutch? And he goes, what? I said, how do you say cutie pie in Dutch? And he goes, we don't. And I said, okay, how about this? How do you say cute? And he's like, Schradakt. I'm like, okay. How do you say pie? And he goes, tart. So I'm like, okay, so from now on, we'll say Schradakt tart.
The hell?
And that will be our thing. That will be how we do it.
That's too much.
Well, because the cutie pie is too obvious. So it's like, you need.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But if you started just saying, if you just started yelling at fucks, that might be too obvious. It's what I'm saying.
No, what I'm saying is like I'm gonna tell a woman straight to her face, like, baby, you a stone cold fox, baby. Let me take care of you. Let me pay your bills
so quick.
Pay your bills.
Hey, if you go to the right woman, look, if I go to like a woman in like her 40s, oh, she'll get it. She'll understand.
Now, if you
like,
start
"Who's
saying
this
she'll
young
get
man
it, if
right
you
here?"
start saying she'll get it, you'll definitely get me too.
Oh, well, yeah, you're right. I
Man.
should have worded that different. Sorry, all of our listeners out there. Disregard that.
How many of our listeners do you really think are female? If you wanted to be totally honest about it,
Out of the 30
girls don't
that
buy
we
records.
have, no, like out of the 30 listeners that we have, I want to say like 4 are female. You know,
Okay.
and
It's
yeah.
a pretty. I guess amongst 30, that's a
Yeah.
relatively large
You know?
minority.
Yeah. But look, let's go ahead and close it out, man, so we can
Let's do it.
talk
Yeah.
shop. Guys, we really appreciate you all for checking this out. Once again, this was a pretty good episode, man, because this is my first time really analyzing and understanding Hendrix.
We're doing
And
the
these
whole thing,
guys,
too. We're doing all of them.
yeah, you know,
Yes.
and these guys, they know Hendrix like the back of their hand. So they study this guy and worship this guy. So yeah, so it was definitely an interesting episode today. But yeah, we really appreciate you guys for tuning in once again. This is the Bones, Twigs, and Wigs podcast, and stay tuned because this is just one Hendrix episode. We actually have 2 more left. We're gonna do Electric Ladyland, and the next one will be Axis. So if you guys want to go ahead and then, look those up, stream those bad boys, take a listen, and then, tune in for the next episode. If you have any comments, any of your own personal opinions, make sure you can like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Keywords. What?
We're dropping the next part of the Nas album review.
Right.
week as well.
Yeah. So, and make sure you go check out the new Nas album as well. But keyword comment, we want to definitely hear you guys' opinions. And we always respond as well. As soon as we hear, as soon as we see comments or we, hear certain things, we always try to make sure that we respond back, because not to debate, but just to kind of say, hey, man, we hear you and, we appreciate your opinions.
We'll have you on. Fuck it.
Yeah, we might have you on, to be honest. Like, if you want to get on the show and talk about an album,
join us.
holla at us, man. You know what I'm saying? We ain't doing nothing. But yes. Thank you once again, guys, for tuning in. This is Bones, Twigs, and Wigs. We out. Cue the music.